Hello, so I haven't made a video in a long time, and this isn't going to be a well-made video, because I'm only using a phone and an app that I used 5 years ago. And if you think I'm kidding, I'm not, because I made this exact same video almost 5 years ago, which is my favorite Pokémon. Now this will be my top 15 favorite Pokémon. Back then I did a top 10, and I made that video December 31st, 2013. And it's September of 2018. And so it's fair to assume that my opinions have changed, seeing as a whole different game has come out since then. 2 different games, I think, actually. Or 3. I lost track a while ago. It should be noted that I am not a competitive player, and most of my favorites are simply from how they look or my own memories with them. 15 is Maractus. Now, I've never really used this Pokemon in the game, but I have drawn it a couple times, and I just think it has a fun design. It's simple, it's cute, and I really like it. But I know most people don't even remember Maractus, but I've always thought it's very cute and just, it's adorable. Number 14 is the Dratini line. I mainly like the Dratini line because I remember the episode with Dragonite from, I think, the first series, most likely. As well as I just have always liked the design. I have the trading cards of the first 2, and when I was young, I adored them because I just thought they were so adorable. Number 13 is Abra. I mainly remember Abra as being Sabrina's Abra from the first series, I believe, and that episode just gave me nightmares. But through time, I learned to love it and just always want it, but whenever I find it in the games, it just wants to teleport away, and usually when you find it, it's early in the game and you don't have the right stuff to catch it, but it is one of my favorite Pokemon. Number 12 is the Fennekin line. Now, I started getting back into Pokemon from X and Y because I saw the starters and some of my other friends were really hyped about it, and I got obsessed with it, and Fennekin is by far my favorite Pokemon. I have 2 Pokemon X's and 1 Pokemon Y, and no matter what, I have to start with Fennekin. I just cannot betray him, and I always pick him. Number 11 is Salandit. I love Salandit because in Pokemon Sun is when I found this Pokemon, and basically it became love at first sight. I love the design, and I just couldn't stay away from it, basically. And its evolution is pretty chill too, but Salandit is amazing. I've drawn Salandit a couple times. It's really fun to draw, and I don't know, something about it just made me love it, and I haven't looked back since. Number 10 is Butterfree. Now, if you watched the first series, I'm sure you remember when Ash gave up his Butterfree, and basically I watched that when I was really little, and so now that episode is permanently stuck in my mind of Butterfree leaving and Ash crying, and I cried too, and since then I haven't been able to not catch a Caterpie and then make it a Butterfree and then have it on my team, because I just adore Butterfree so much, and I just need him on all of my teams at all times. Number 9 is Skitty and Delcatty. I forgot that these Pokemon existed before I ran into them in X and Y. Well, I ran into Skitty, and basically I fell in love because it's this cute cat Pokemon, and for a while I didn't remember that you could evolve it, but then, you know, I found out how to evolve it and everything, and basically I adore these 2. They're one of my favorites, obviously, and, you know, whenever I find one, I have to catch it. But the best thing about it is that you can breed a Skitty with a Wailord, clearly. Number 8 is the Ghastly line. Now, I've been obsessed with Ghastly since I've been obsessed with Pokemon because it's this huge ghost Pokemon, and I've always adored ghosts. And for the longest time in the game, I never had a Gengar because I didn't have anyone to trade with. But when I finally got my first Gengar through Wonder Trade, I adored him, and I used him for absolutely everything. And I don't know, I've just always loved this line so much. Like, it's kind of insane. Number 7, Latias and Latios. Now, I love these two because they were part of the first movie of Pokemon that I ever saw. And basically, I fell in love with them from there because I adored that movie, like, to bits. I loved it so much. And I haven't watched it in probably 10 years, honestly. But I'd probably still adore it and adore these two characters. And that's really the only reason they're up here for me. I just adore them and I always have. Number 6, Lugia. Now, I don't really know why I like Lugia other than I remember having a Pokemon card of it and thinking, wow, this is the coolest Pokemon I've ever seen. I love it, and I still do to this day. I don't really remember any movies it's in, quite honestly. I don't remember a lot of the Pokemon movies, but I still just love Lugia because for some reason it just holds a special spot in my heart that it will not give up to this day. Number 5, Mudkip. Now, I've loved Mudkip for a long, long time. I don't remember why I started liking Mudkip, but I do remember me and my friend downloading, like, ROM players on our phones and getting Pokemon, and basically I only got the generation with Mudkip, and I only played with Mudkip, and I didn't let him evolve until he was, like, level 70 because I just wanted my Mudkip, and I hate his evolutions. But I've always loved Mudkip, and for some reason that just won't change. Number 4, Mimikyu. Now, I'm sure Mimikyu is on every basic bitch's list, but I do adore Mimikyu and his design and the fact that no one knows what's under it except for Meowth, obviously, because he saw it and he's not dead yet. But I love Mimikyu so much, probably just because he's some funky little guy, and I love battling with him. He's honestly usually the backbone of my team, because I can just throw him in, he can get hit once and not get any damage, and it's amazing, and I love him. Number 3, Squirtle. Squirtle has always been one of my favorite Pokemon, mainly because of in the anime when he's in a gang. I just adored that when I was little, and I had Pokemon Red, and I always chose Squirtle. He was just my babe. I never actually finished that game, though. I could never get past the ship. But I always just adored this Pokemon, and I still do, and I probably always will. He's my favorite starter out of anything, and probably just because everyone else that I knew liked Charmander or some weirdo who liked Bulbasaur, because for some reason no one likes Bulbasaur except my mom. But I've just always liked Squirtle so much. Number 2, Sylveon. Now, Sylveon is the most recent addition to the evolutions, and I adore all the evolutions except Jolteon. But Sylveon is just my favorite because ever since Sylveon has come out, every game since then, I need a Sylveon. That's the first thing I try to do. I find where I can get an Eevee, and then I just get my Sylveon if I can. And basically, Sylveon has always just worked. Sylveon was the first Pokemon I ever got to level 100, and I just don't know what I would do without my Sylveon, basically, because Sylveon has always been my saving grace. It's simple as that. He's pretty chill. And for my all-time favorite Pokemon, it has to go to Oddish. Now, you may be thinking, why is Oddish of all Pokemon your favorite? It's a pretty boring design, and no one likes Oddish, or at least this much. And to that I have to say, I don't know, but for some reason Oddish has always been my favorite character. It's so simple. To me, even as a little kid, it was the cutest Pokemon. I drew it on my Pokemon card binder, which I still have to this day. And for some reason, I've just never been able to get over Oddish. I've always loved Oddish. I have so many Oddish trading cards. I will never give them away. And there's something about Oddish that has just made me love him to death. And since I was probably like 8 years old, I have loved Oddish, and I still do, and it's almost been a decade since then. But what can I say? When you have a favorite, it's probably going to stay your favorite for a pretty long time. That was my list of my top 15 favorite Pokemon. Now, clearly, most of them were based off looks or childhood memories, but that's just what I have for Pokemon. I'm not a competitive player, I'm not a shiny hunter. I don't do anything special, but try to finish the games as soon as I can, which usually still takes longer than probably needed. And I just watch the anime when I have any sort of free time. But that was my top 15 favorite Pokemon. And yeah, see you later.